Nobody ever had the condition of having produced the greatest economy in the history of our country, right? Nobody. So I don't understand, why would we lose the House? I think we're going to do great with the House, and we're going to do fantastic with the Senate, so that we can keep making America great again.
President Trump praising the U.S. economy, saying it could help Republicans hold on to the House in upcoming midterm elections. Now, by the way, just 2 weeks away, Art Laffer, a former economics advisor to President Reagan. He joins us now. Art, good morning to you.
Hi,
Welcome
Sandra.
back.
Good morning. Thank you.
So this piece is incredibly informative that you put out, the Senate Outlook 2018, really gives us an idea of what is at stake here. First off, what is your projections? Obviously, you're looking at the U.S. economy, but what is your projections as far as what happens with the House and Senate at this point?
Well, the House, I think, really is close to being a toss-up, and I really don't understand all the districts and how everything plays out there. But in the Senate, I really do careful analysis of each state and also the U.S. economy and the Gallup poll going way back in time and how many seats are up and what states they're in and all of that. And my guess is the Republicans pick up 2 to 4 seats in the Senate. I think they get up to 53 to 55, 46 to 45, 47 to 45 in the Senate, and I think that's going to be a very important condition for the coming 2 years. I think the Senate is really critical for President Trump, and I think he'll succeed in getting a much more favorable Senate than he's had so far, and it's been pretty good so far.
How crucial is it that Republicans hold on to the Senate as far as looking at the president's policies and his economic policies in particular?
Yeah, the Senate is far more important in my mind than is the House, because we've got a lot of bills through the House. I mean, we've really done really well. That tax bill was the best ever in the first term ever of any president, and it was just amazing. The bills in the House are all fine and almost all gone. But the Senate, which is confirmation area, that's what's really important in the next 2 years. We may get another Supreme Court decision to be made. We'll get a lot of judges through there. We'll have a lot of other stuff coming up in the Senate that I think it's really important to keep good, solid, clear-thinking Republicans in office in the Senate. And I'm very excited about the next 2 years for President Trump. I think he's going to come into his glory days, to be honest with you, in the economy and maybe even in other areas, too, like North Korea and Russia and China and all these trade deals.
And I know you've been incredibly optimistic about this economy based on the president's policies and what he has still left to do. If it doesn't play out the way you're predicting, what does happen on the economic front if either the House or the Senate or both flips?
Well, the House could easily flip, and I don't think that would make much difference, Sandra. I really don't think so. I think if the Senate flipped, that would be a really huge blue wave to nail the Republicans, and frankly, that would bode very poorly for the next 2 years. But when you look at the people in there, I mean, look at the people, Mnuchin, Larry Kudlow, I mean, it doesn't get any better than those two people. Kevin Hassett, you've got the best economics team in the White House right now that I've seen in generations. You know, that's the type of advice the president needs to be getting, and he's getting it, and I think he's just doing a great job with it. And in my world, obviously, Sandra, economics is everything. I mean, economics is the power. It's the source of everything in the economy, and I think he looks really good.
Thanks for bringing up Larry Kudlow, because he was just on Fox a few moments ago, and he was responding at one point during his discussion to some comments from former President Barack Obama, who seemed to be taking credit for the booming economy in Las Vegas yesterday. Watch.
So when you hear all this talk about economic miracles right now, remember who started it. I just hope people kind of notice that every time there's a pattern where they run things into the ground and we have to come back and clean things up.
Here's Larry Kudlow, the president's chief economic advisor, this morning responding to that. Watch.
I don't think he's right, with all respect to former President Obama. Look at, under his stewardship, the so-called recovery was, I don't know, 2% average per year, which is really the worst I believe, since the Depression. And already, we have beaten our critics, including Obama's staff people. We're running an economy that's 3 to 4% economic growth. He's a tax cutter. That's a big difference from his predecessor, who was a tax hiker.
I mean, didn't Obama say sustained growth over 4% wasn't even really possible, Art?
He said that, yet every single year he forecasted growth over 3%, and every year he revised it down to some horrible number. You know, they always had these hopes and dreams, and they never came true for the full 8 years. But Obama is a silver-tongued person. He looks like a delightful person. I don't know him personally, but I would love to get to know him. He's just a wonderful guy, and you want to believe him, but it's just not true. What Larry Kudlow says is correct. It's the single worst recovery in the post-war period by any president. And, you know, he's claiming credit for that. You know, I should think he'd hide from that, but nope. He runs right into it every time. It's the worst recovery ever.
Well, President Trump taking a lot of credit for that booming economy in that rally last night. Art, it's a great piece. It really gives people a good idea of what's at stake in these midterm elections and lays it out very clearly. Thanks. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you very much.
Got an alert right now. An explosive device was discovered near the home. Before we go there, however, check the markets. That's the open, 9:30 in New York.
Whoa.
Futures are pointing to a lower open, and that's what we've got, Sandra.
Oh.
400 plus, a little less than 2%. Some concerns about tariffs and China and trade, and on it goes. But, you know, if you're a negative person, you can find negative news just about anywhere you go, right?
Well, you know, with the Dow at 25,000, it's amazing that a 400-point drop is still less than a 2% drop. But this will scare a few folks into thinking that possibly there's a bigger sell-off coming, but we'll be watching it.
Might be a good buy, just saying. I mean, we don't give stock advice.